right, it's a beautiful morning to you this lovely Tuesday morning, Tuesday the 7th of February 2023. Let me quickly take you through the countdown that I have for you. Today is 7th of February, so that means it's just exactly 1 week before Valentine's Day. And as I said, 14th of February 2023, and 3 days to the end of the deadline for the cash swap policy. So if you've not dropped your old notes at the banks, please do well to go drop those notes there. Now let's start the show for you this morning. Spring Trends is where we bring you who is trending, what is trending, why they are trending, and what people are saying about the who, the what, and the why. My name is Emmanuel Ujadigele. You can follow me on Twitter at Ujadigele, on Facebook, Emmanuel Ujadigele, and on Instagram, Ima Ujadigele. You can also follow our station live on YouTube at Western Spring Television. Also follow us on all our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Western Spring Television, but on Twitter at WSTV_NG. Now, this morning we begin with reactions to some of the things trending in the socio-political space. If you remember, last week, Governor Nasir El-Rufai of Kaduna State spoke about a particular cabal in Aso Rock fighting against the victory of the APC at the forthcoming general election. Now, a former director of the Civil Society's Directorate of the APC's PCC, Najat Mohammed, was on live TV, Arise TV, and she spoke about one interesting person who is a member of the cabal. Let's find out who that person is.
She reinforced what El-Rufai said. She agreed with what El-Rufai said. El-Rufai said that the cabal in the villa, and she confirmed it. But what I'm saying is this: she is also part of the cabal. I am trained not to say they did this. We are trained to name names. You have to have the guts to tell Nigerians who the cabals are. And I'll tell you why. One, if you look at, we are discussing, the hardest thing for Nigerians now is the question of changing this money. People are in a very, very dire situation. Even I had to know how to mobilize to send my mother ingredients, tomato and pepper. It's terrible. I am stressed up. So think of the millions that have to work daily to feed. But what is happening? They are talking about the cabal, and they are talking about themselves. They are saying, what El-Rufai is saying is that why is the changing money is okay, but why now for elections? So is it about elections, or is it about Nigerians that are suffering? And whose election? Their elections. This is the point I'm trying to make. So when they are talking of the cabal, her brother, Aisha Buhari's brother, same mother, same father, is the DG now or MD of Minting and Printing. So what are they talking about? When you talk of Emefiele, Central Bank, the next thing you talk of is Minting and Printing. Her brother, same mother, same father is.
Well, amazing revelation. So the head of Nigeria's Minting and Printing Exchange, Securities and all of that, the body in charge of printing Nigeria's currency, is the brother of Aisha Buhari. Same father, same mother. Talk about serious cabalism. Now let's take responses to that video by Najat Mohammed on Twitter. We begin with Olauda Equiano, says, one of the most selfish characters in the presidency is Aisha Buhari. Once things aren't going her way, she's everywhere trying to whip up public sentiment. But once she's chopping, you won't hear a word from her anymore. Nigerians have had a torrid 8 years under APC. Ima says Aisha Buhari's brother is the head of Minting. Maybe he's qualified on his own merit, but should never have been appointed. That's the primary hallmark of nepotism and cronyism, which is not ethical at all. Yes, it isn't ethical. Corsi says Aisha Buhari's blood bro is head of Nigerian Meat. Limau, but election money is complete. Then Nigeria is a family business. Please don't vote wisely. Vote for Peter Obi. Kelvin Odan says this is why people would rather burn down this country than relinquish power. The strategically placed all over government and in the private sector. They all got there through nepotism, and they are there doing nothing but milking this country dry while Nigerians suffer. Waspapin says, how is it legal that the company responsible for printing Naira notes in Nigeria is headed by the brother of Aisha Buhari? What did we ever do to deserve such cruel leaders? Well, very big question there. Who did we offend? Ogbagu says, no wonder Aisha Buhari became so swollen overnight. Her brother is the director of minting and printing in the Central Bank of Nigeria. A timely revelation from Nadia to Mohammed. So if you didn't know, you better know now. Preach Love says it's clear evidence that Buhari is not in charge of much in this country. Love the fact that they are airing their dirty laundry publicly and opening the eyes of Nigerians to serious reasons to vote out the APC. Omotayo Williams says when Nigeria decided to change and print new currencies for the first time in years, Buhari appointed Aisha Buhari's brother as the head of being a printing and minting agency in Nigeria around the new notes announcement period. You get it? If you don't get it, forget about it. Spotlight says, Mama and Daura and Aisha Buhari cabal, she certainly tore into El-Rufai. I'm sure the malt bottle did not anticipate the backlash she has received from his outburst. Yesterday, it was Nollywood calling him a diminutive governor, and now Spotlight says it's a malt bottle. Such a comparison, well. Ima Ike Ume says, Aisha, the Buhari that is talking today, is part of the cabal. Even her brother is the head of minting and printing CBN. How cabalish can you be? Najat Mohammed on Arise TV. Now let's look at Kevin Odanze's comment here. It says, Aisha Buhari's brother, same father, same mother, is apparently the Director General of Nigerian Security Printing and Minting Company. They are the ones responsible for printing Naira notes. This is according to Hajia Najat on Arise News. These people shared the national cake. I really wish one day someone gets into power that can open up the can of corruption in Nigeria and throw all these people into jail. Wallahi. And anyone who thinks Aisha Buhari means anything well for Nigeria is a foolish person and a liar. That is the last comment on that story this morning. We're getting to see how much of Nigeria has really been divided by politicians. They just seem to be giving it out left, right, center. Buhari doling out appointment as if it's Gary and Agbado. Your lunch will not be imported, you know, all of those things. They're sharing it amongst themselves. It's very disturbing that the First Lady's brother, yes, he may have gotten there on merit, but then is it ethical at all? So the cabal, we're beginning to see who and who belongs in and to the cabal. And it seems that the cabal also has factions. And we pray that they continue to air their dirty linens in public. We would love to see more of that. Please let them continue to name names and point fingers. Away from Aisha Buhari and her pretentious cabalism, let's move on to what happened in the courts yesterday. Let's give you a very sweet rundown of the story. Last year, the APC conducted primary elections for Yobe North, a senatorial district, and this man that you're seeing on the screen alongside Senate President Ahmed Lawan, Machina Bashir, won that primary, and he was adjudged to have won it free and fair. And he came out to say that it was being impressed upon him by some persons, including the Senate President, who at the time was aspiring to be president under the platform of the APC. Wanted him to step down, but he refused, went to court, won at the High Court, at the Court of Appeal, and yesterday he was machined out of that ticket, and that ticket was given back to Ahmed Lawan, Senate President. Not that he ever had it, but for some reason it happened like that, and he got a ticket. Now let's see how Nigerians received that story and that news. We begin with the great oracle Abdul Mahmoud says the Supreme Court not only machined Machina, it also machines the Electoral Act 2022. You don't have to take part in a party primary. All you have to do is use the Supreme Court a la Uzodinma. Remember what happened in Imo State. Obedient, we must win with Obi on first ballot. Let's continue to fight on. Pastor Who says Machina won the senatorial ticket unopposed. Ahmed Lawan lost his cabal-induced presidential bid and decided to hijack Machina's ticket. Both the Federal High Court and Court of Appeal affirmed Machina's victory. How did the Supreme Court get so compromised? This is barbaric. Wale Adedayo says, I love how PDP folks are speaking against the injustice meted out on Machina by the Supreme Court. No democracy will thrive when such injustice is allowed to reign supreme. Now, it's not just PDP, it's not just LP, it's not just normal random people who are speaking. Even those in the APC are complaining. Nefertiti says, having a Supreme Court that is morally bankrupt is a recipe for disaster. How can we build a nation where there is no justice? How do you explain Machina versus Ahmed Lawan's judgments to a 12-year-old? How exactly do you do that? Rinu Dwala says, in September 2022, Ahmed Lawan said he accepted the court ruling which affirmed Bashir Machina as the candidate and wouldn't appeal, which was true. The Senate President at the time then came out and said, okay, Court of Appeal said he has won, no problem, I abide by that. But then Nigerians were joyous even for a disastrous party like APC. Little did we know he had other plans. We'll move on to Harmless. Harmless says, this is one of the reasons why Nigerians are going to vote APC out. Please, on what basis did Supreme Court declare Ahmed Lawan the winner? Someone who did not contest for the senatorial seat when Machina was contesting. Ahmed Lawan was in Abuja trying to secure presidential ticket. So he did not get that ticket, and now he's sabotaging someone else's ambition. Step Up with Olusegun says, Nigeria just happens to the guy. Advise him to join Labour Party. He's a young man and his services will be needed for the transformation of our country from consumption to production. So sorry, Basharun Machina. Bishop of the Diocese of Oyo State says the judiciary has been bastardized. How can Ahmed Lawan win his Yobe North Senatorial District APC ticket at the Supreme Court against Bashir Machina? The new electoral law is clear. Did he participate in the primary or was another conducted? No, this should not be allowed to continue. Bigwig Austin says, Senate President Lawan didn't buy senatorial form, but he's won Machina at the Supreme Court. How is this even possible? On what grounds was the judgment passed? Onyinye Uba says, I'm not a lawyer, but this Supreme Court judgment of Ahmed Lawan versus Machina is the most confusing thing I've heard in recent times. Does it mean a person can be declared a winner of an election without contesting? I'm scared of the precedents this may set in time to come. And that's really the worry of many Nigerians. What happens in time to come when, for instance, Femi Olanipekin goes to the Supreme Court and says, I won the ticket for Elisha East state constituency, and then he gets the ticket even without contesting in the primaries. It's going to be interesting. I hope he does win, and then we'll drag him to court and drag him by his tie. He doesn't have yet. We'll start with Faris. We end with Faris says, imagine the Supreme Court declaring Ahmed Lawan, that hasn't participated in the primaries, as the winner of Yobe North Senatorial District in the APC, and Machina, who's the real winner, declared a loser. And these same people want us to believe that they wish this country well. Well, obviously, they do not wish the country well. Because if you did wish the country well, we would not be having this issue. Nobody would be muzzled out of their ticket by means of the judiciary. And it calls to question what exactly is the place of the judiciary in determining what the will of the people is. We've had sitting politicians removed by the court. Some of them, you may want to say fairly, some unfairly, some on technicalities. Well, we hope that Nigeria gets its glory back and that some of these injustices can be corrected, if possible, by other judges and by other justices and in the future. If not, it's not a very good one for Nigeria. Now let's move on to the battle of the hypocrites. Two of Nigeria's most notable hypocrites on Twitter got into a fight yesterday. Sam Omache is supposed to be a veteran journalist, supposed to be a seasoned journalist, but then he got into a fight with Adamu Garba, who is not just a hypocrite, but you could call him a rabble-rouser who likes to just seek attention. Now what happened? Yesterday, you can see that tweet. In a now deleted tweet, Sam Omache tweeted that the head of the said cabal, Maman Daura, is directing the governor without a state, Emefiele Murphy baby, on what to do. These Aso Rock folks are seriously working against bats not to succeed Buhari. These same folks who have been using Buhari's name in carrying out shady deals. Now, unfortunately for him, he didn't do his research. The man in that picture is not Maman Daura, but the late Issa Funtua. Now, Adamu Garba II says, stop attacking Maman Daura, stop lying against this responsible elder statesman. This is not politics, this is calumny. Now, immediately he did that, Nigerians came at the both of them. Bat Exterminator is our first commentator, says, hey Adamu, you call this calumny, I call it the truth, and I will run with it. You've been in the business of misinforming your followers and spreading propaganda against Peter Obi. This time the chicken has come home to roost. Sam Omatseye is right. Maman Daura is against Tinubu. Aru Kauka says, this bloody hypocrite Adamu Garba has been spreading lies about Peter Obi, but is condemning Sam Omatseye for doing same to Maman Daura Onyala. You don't want to know what that means in Igbo. China Azar, Peter Obi Hartman says, Wahala don shelo. Sam Omatseye has lied against Peter Obi. Adamu has also lied against Peter Obi. Now Sam don't drag Maman Daura and Adamu saying a lie. This Nollywood movie goes sweet. Chudi, this man reminds me of those children in primary school that will really run to teachers and say, uncle, this person has taken my pencil. uncle, this person has stolen my food. Now, what he did was he went over, Chud said, he went over to Twitter, and Twitter verified to say, this individual, Sam Omache, is spreading fake news and defaming character, which is against community policy. Please kindly review his Twitter verification. Note B, the image he posted does not have Mama and Dara on it. That is the late Issa Funtua. Now, distinguished Everest says that nonsense that Sam Omache did is evidence that in Nigeria, hard work and intelligence does not take you to the top. Just be loyal and support whatever evil is around. That's all. A veteran journalist, in quote, can't differentiate between a dead Issa Funtua and Mama and Dara. Very, very sad, and it's a telling, evidence on his supposed career. Nuku Manwu says this person speaking to Emefiele in that photo was a late Issa Funtua, not Mama and Dara. I thought this Sam Omache fellow was a journalist. Now, before we end the show this morning, we're supposed to tell you that one of our very own, Thames Okpeni, Temilade Okpeni, popularly known as Thames, has won her first Grammy. She took that award for her collaboration with Future in one of his songs that won the award. And then some persons have congratulated her, including Bola Tinubu. And people have been asking, what is Bola Tinubu's business with the Grammy? Is he just looking for relevance? Is he trying to stay in the news? But then we'll leave that aside and go over outside the shores of this country. We move over to Asia, where some tragedy struck yesterday in Syria, in Turkey, and Lebanon. Let me show you a clip from Al Jazeera that showed you exactly what happened in Turkey and that was felt in parts of Syria and Lebanon. So now that video you saw happened in Turkey and it was felt in Syria and Lebanon. Now you might wonder why I said Asia. Well, some part of Turkey, particularly the capital Istanbul, one of the largest cities in Istanbul, sits in between Europe and Asia. So if you didn't know that, that's a fun fact for you to know now, that Turkey is situated both in Europe and in Asia, but Syria and Lebanon are also Asian countries. Now, yesterday, after that tragedy, I'd like to show you some pictures of what happened. This is a picture of, the earthquake, 7.2 magnitude earthquake. There's the other pictures that are there for you to see. You can see the disaster, the magnitude of the disaster, how it occurred there, causing lots of people to lose their lives. Let's move on to the next picture. You can see a child there, devastating picture, crying and feeling so bad about that incident, probably lost his parent or some loved one. And you can see a baby being rescued without the parent. There's a last picture there for you. A house, you can see that house there, totally destroyed, broken over, bent over. Can imagine what happens to the people in the house. Let's take the picture of that house there. You can see being evacuated, people being searched for under the rubble. Okay, and then we'll move on from the pictures now, and let's go straight to how the news was broken. We'll start with the Washington Post. It was the Washington Post that first broke the story. It says at least 2 massive earthquakes struck southern Turkey near the Syrian border on February 6 yesterday, killing more than 2,000 people across the country, with aftershocks felt as far away as Lebanon, Jordan, and Israel. Mufti Menk, the popular Islamic scholar and cleric, says, my heart goes out to Turkey on the massive earthquake that just happened. Shockwaves felt by Syria, Lebanon, Palestine as well. May the Almighty grant them ease and comfort those who've lost loved ones. Donbass Devushka says, we're going to block every single person that says that people of Turkey, Syria, and Lebanon and other affected by these horrible disaster areas deserve their fate, for insert any reason here or associate these in any way with Ukraine, with fleeing humans, for crying out loud. Asalan Khan says, it is a very catastrophic event, the sort which victims are never prepared for which reason alone they deserve our greatest sympathies, our most empathetic responses, and our sincerest efforts towards mitigating to the extent we can the sufferings witnessing the afflicted. Penwoman says, apart from expressing empathy and sharing condolences, have you mentioned victims of earthquake in prayers? The feeling of Ummah is so deep in hearts that inner reaction is deeper like ocean. Just humble reminder, Turkey, Lebanon, Syria, and surrounding regions should be in dua. And a very, very disturbing story coming up from that incident yesterday. Former Newcastle and Chelsea winger Christian Atsu is reportedly missing after earthquakes hit Turkey and Syria on Monday yesterday. Some of the 31-year-old's Hatayspor teammates have been rescued from the rubble, but Atsu is still missing. We pray that he's found alive. Some media outlets have been saying he's been found alive, and some are still saying he's been found dead. Whatever it is, we pray that there is official confirmation that he's been found, and that he's found safe. And this last comment says, my God, more than a minute. A few seconds of a low-level earthquake have people panicking, but this was 7.8 for over a minute. Ya Rab, help the people of Turkey, Syria, and Lebanon, and all those affected. Well, that's where we end the show this morning, and we pray that those who have been affected by this disaster find comfort, and may the souls of those who have died find rest in God. According to the World Health Organization, over 20,000 people have died already from between yesterday and today, and that's 20,000 souls who 20,000, that's the official figure from the WHO at this moment. Well, it's sad, because these people never prepared to meet their maker just like that. We hope that those who are still under the rubble are found safely, and those who have been found get quick recovery, both from the trauma and, of course, from the physical wound. As we leave the show this morning, we pray that God keeps us all safe. Remember to do your best to stay on the safe side of the law, protect yourself, and just pray to God that Nigeria doesn't happen to you. My name is Emmanuel Ujadegele. You can follow me on Twitter at @EMUjadegele. Follow me on all social media platforms. And by tomorrow, I hope to bring you the midweek edition of the program. And also stick with us for Morning Spring for what's happening around the country and around the world. Do have a lovely day.